Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Forward Think Tank. In this week's episode, you are in for a treat. I sit down with one of my best friends, Michelle Berckes, the founder of Busy Bee Organics, a company that I have been involved in and honestly fell in love with from the very beginning when we met in 2017. Now, Michelle has a background in dietetic nutrition. She got her bachelor's from Montclair State. She also went to the Natural Gourmet Institute, where she became a health supportive chef. And in this episode, not only do we dive deep into why both of those pieces of her life were equally important when she developed her business, Busy Bee, but she also talks a little bit more about her personal journey and relationship with food, which when she was in college started out as an innocent way of tracking calories and exercising, turned into an eating disorder, which I do think really shaped, as she tells us in this heartfelt story, it shaped who she became as a person, but also shaped the way she wanted to approach her business and allow people to have healthier relationships with food. Busy Bee is such a special place. It is 100% gluten-free. They have vegan options. They also have amazing pasture-raised chicken and pasture-raised eggs and all locally sourced organic ingredients from our friends at Lancaster Farm. The business is incredible, and I have been blessed enough to see the evolution since 2017. Michelle is very much a change maker. She has had the business established since 2014, so going on 11 years this year. She started out selling her food at the farmer's market. Week after week, people just fell in love with it. Michelle has a beautiful way of making healthy food taste good. And in this episode, we pick her brain around all things nutrition. You will see how passionate she is about this topic. She lives and breathes it. She's a great teacher. She really likes to educate as she goes. And we also touch base on our upcoming Detox program that is coming up. I cannot wait. We are back for January. It's a 5-day program, a food-based cleanse. If you're here in the Hudson County area or anywhere in New Jersey, we can deliver. It's a 5-day program, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. You also get coaching with me. It's a really, really special program we designed for people to take the guesswork out of healthy eating, have a stress-free week, and really have guidance around what it means to take care of yourself, to fuel your and nourish your body and feel good. So we dive into immune system tips and tricks. We talk about the gut microbiome. We talk about the utmost importance of fiber and how it can not only help your gut, but why it's also critical for heart health as well, and so much more. I truly cannot wait for you to listen to this episode. I have been wanting to have her as one of my guests on the podcast ever since the creation of it. I think you're going to get so much information out of this. So please check it out, show us some love, and enjoy the episode. Thanks as always for tuning in. If you like this episode, please share it with someone you know. Please give a 5-star rating if you're enjoying it. I hope you enjoy all the nuggets of wisdom along the way. Thank you, Michelle, for being here with me, and check it out. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Forward Think Tank podcast, a place for sharing stories of hope, inspiration, and wisdom on all things holistic health. I'm your host, Jamie Mazza, a holistic health coach and lifelong dancer. After being diagnosed with a rare thymic tumor and autoimmune disease, I am on a mission to fully, radically heal. Tune in as I share stories from my personal healing journey, interviews with forward thinkers and healers in the wellness industry, and stories from incredible humans who have gone through their own health challenges and continue to move forward in hope. Thanks for tuning in. So grateful you're here. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Forward Think Tank. I am so excited today. I have one of my best friends here with me, the founder of Busy Bee Organics, Michelle Berckes. Welcome to the podcast, girlfriend. So happy to have you here.
Thanks. It's so refreshing to be introed with the right pronunciation of my last name. So thanks.
What can I say? You know, when I first met you, I thought it was Berckes.
Okay, it's every school teacher growing up. My mom always told everyone it's like a cold kiss, Berckes. So
That's
there we go. A little cheese,
good way
little
to remember
cheese to start it off.
I love it. People have heard me talk about you on multiple episodes now because you have been like a sister this entire year. I mean, what a decade this year has been, as you know. I'm so glad to be here with you. You are such a wealth of knowledge in all things nutrition and in the kitchen. So I'm excited to dive in and pick your brain. You ready?
So happy to be here with you. Yeah.
I would love for you to tell everyone who is not familiar with your story and with Busy Bee, what led you to start your company and what is your mission in sharing this business with our community?
I mean, starting Busy Bee happened really so many years ago. We've been in business now for 10 years and we started, thank you. I started the company because I felt lost. And I think a lot of people do. I actually went into school undeclared, knowing that I wanted to be a business owner. And I decided that I would take nutrition as an elective because I was a college girl. I wanted to understand my body. And I was like, oh, I'll take a class. And it was love at first sight. You know, people say that about their partners. For me, it was about my major. I declared the next day. I took a nutrition class and I was like, oh, this is that feeling. I had a teacher in high school once tell me that if you do what you're passionate about, that you'll never work a day in your life. And it was
So
just
true.
one of those things. It was a body signal. I talk a lot about energy, which I'm sure today will be no exception. And my energy was so vibrant after that class. That's when you know. That was a yes for me. And I declared my major. And then next thing I know, I was the president of the Dietetic organization.
Love
I
it.
was such a nerd for nutrition. And it continues to this day. I love learning about nutrition. And I think while I was in school, to answer your question, is I felt really confused because while I was taking courses, I was picking up books in Cosmo and reading articles and, you know, what the latest trends were in food, and everything was so conflicting. You know, for the South Beach book, there was another book speaking on, you know, veganism, and then, you know, the Skinny Bitch book that had come out, and there was all these different ways of handling it. So as somebody who is a sponge, I absorbed things like instantaneously, adapted almost all of these things over time. And I feel like I've done everything from no carbs to low fat to no sugar to everything. And there was a point in college where I started getting so overwhelmed that I just innocently started off where I would just go to the gym every single day, and I didn't understand how calories in and calories out worked. And I was like, oh, well, I need to burn all these calories that I ate and then some, not realizing that my body was burning at resting. So I became like an over exerciser and then an under eater because, oh, if I eat less and I can exercise more and then I'll lose weight. And I did. But all the while, I was starting to feel unwell. And there's a lot of things that happen when you're depriving your body of its nutrients. It started out innocently enough where I just didn't know. And then as my body was deprived, it was behaving weirdly. And whether it was digestive issues or skin issues or generally always feeling ravenously hungry because I wasn't eating the right food, I then turned to full-blown bulimia. So I had an eating disorder for 7 years. I was very closeted about it. I didn't tell anyone about it. You know, the extremes I would go to hide this from people. I was very ashamed. It lasted for a long time. When I went to culinary, so I mean, the story goes on and on. You know, it was a very personal journey. But what happened was studying to be a dietetic nutritionist. I wanted to be a registered dietitian. I wanted to have the credentials, and I thought that was so important, and it is. But it was out of alignment with what my mission was. I would go into these interviews for my internship and tell them I don't want to work in a hospital. I want to work with the community on the preventative side of nutrition. And these internships want to hire you to work in their hospital. So that's not what they wanted to hear. And so I wasn't getting into these internships, even though I was at the top of my class and volunteered and I was a dietetic organization president. None of it mattered because at the end of the day, it wasn't my path. And in the moment, obviously, it felt like complete crap and I didn't know what to do. But I had a conversation with my mother and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And she's like, you love cooking. But my eating disorder was at an all-time high and I was terrified of food and I didn't want to go to culinary school because I was afraid of heavy cream and bacon and I don't want to touch it. So I looked up health supportive culinary schools and found the Natural Gourmet Institute in New York City. And what a blessing to have New York City as our backyard. I applied and it was very effortless. Everything just kind of fell into place after that. And my eating disorder was healed in culinary school. I went to this school and I had all these new friends, and they were so cool. They were from all over the world. They were older than I was, a lot of them, just doing really amazing things. And I looked up to a lot of them. And I remember one of the girls was like, people who count calories are so crazy. And I remember thinking like,
You're like, yeah.
I was like,
Who are
like,
they?
totally. Even though I had journals of like
Yeah.
what I journaled everything I ate, egg, 40 calories.
Mhm.
It was very regimented. I'm type A personality. You tell me I can have 1,500 calories a day, I'm going to aim for like 800. I mean, it was really extreme behavior. And so between the peer pressure of it being uncool to document your calories and also the general inability to, because you're in culinary school, you're making these recipes and you have to try them. And honestly, I started to let go of these old patterns that I had created and started creating these new paradigm shifts by changing my environment. I was in a brand new environment and around new people. And trust me, I was also manifesting all this and praying for it at the time. I really
Yeah.
wanted to not have this disease anymore. It really was all consuming. So I figured if I'm having these issues, certainly other people are suffering as well. I don't think it clicked for me right away, though. And the turning point of it was while I was in culinary school, I was cooking privately for an amazing family who I'm still very close to today. Every week, they were trying to figure out their daughter's food allergies. And so I would come in one month and it would be like, okay, this month we're going to try whatever it was, soy free or this free, whatever, gluten free, all
Yeah.
the things.
Trying to
And
get to
so
the bottom of
I
it.
was and I was she had eczema, and I was like very challenged all the time, which it works really well for me. I love a challenge. I love something to like work toward. And so I would get creative in the kitchen, and I was like creating all these recipes. A lot of Busy Bee recipes were created in that kitchen. A lot of the methodology behind it I discovered while I was in that kitchen. And I was cooking for them and I realized, gosh, I feel like more people could benefit from this and I really want to help more people. And so I connected with Rachel at the downtown farmers market in Jersey City and popping up once a week selling food. At the time, I was also running someone's cafe in Bernardsville, and she was so gracious to let me work out of her kitchen, and we kind of partnered on the project. People started buying our food in droves. I would bring a cooler one week and we'd sell out super fast. And I would be like, okay, I guess I'll bring 2 coolers next week. And then we sold out of 2 coolers. And then the following week I brought 3 coolers. And it was amazing and very validating. And then at the end of the farmers market season came and people were like, well, where do we find your food? And I was like, well, I'll deliver it to you. And this is before delivery had even existed. I think Blue Apron was just like coming out.
Okay.
There was nothing really on the market where people were delivering like that. So we were established in 2014 as like the premier meal delivery service in Jersey City. And we still deliver to this day, as you know. That's how I discovered there was a need. To be honest with you, it just was step by step, organically. I realized through my ailment and others' ailments, as a community, we're all ailing. We all are confused, So
Absolutely.
that's how the mission to this day is really resonated in the fact that an eating disorder that like I thought would take my life at one point now has turned into this strength of providing peace of mind for people. I think a lot of the times people say, I can't eat healthy. I don't know how. It's overwhelming. I wouldn't know what to buy. I don't like to cook. Oh my God, cooking's overwhelming to me. So I just tried taking all the problems and I tried solving them in a little package of Busy. So
And you
I hope
did
that
it,
wasn't too
girl.
long-winded.
You
But
did it.
yeah.
No, that's beautiful. I mean, I
Yeah.
wanted to let you talk and share, and thank you for that because it is such a personal story. I didn't even know some of those details that you just shared. It's a beautiful thing when you can take a challenge that you're going through in your own life and then just hearing you explain, thought you wanted to be a registered dietitian, you're getting all these interviews, and then you're realizing you're putting yourself in the future. I don't want to work in the hospital system. Like you knew there was a calling for something more. Knowing you, as long as I've known you, you are somebody who I think has an incredible intuition and an ability to make decisions for yourself that are empowering and know when it's time to grow, when it's time to move on. And I feel like the fact that you listened to that voice at such a young age and then ended up finding this community while you were healing from all these things in your your personal life, you were introduced to this new community of people who, it sounds like, empowered you. And then you blossomed into this version of yourself that maybe you didn't even know that you needed. And then the business you've created at Busy Bee, I say to you all the time, you need to step back and realize what an impact you're making. I remember when I first was introduced to you and we were both invited to speak at this event that maybe only had in hindsight like a few people, but I was like, oh, I remember those buttons. I need to reach out to her. We need to connect. And it grew into this lifelong friendship and something I didn't even know that I needed at the time. So to have peace of mind food, there is nobody better, and there is nobody that has the integrity of all the quality of ingredients that you bring into your kitchen, especially in a time where we know how expensive food costs are. You maintain that integrity and you do it so beautifully. I've seen from working alongside you, it's this magic and then it's presented in this beautiful way and people appreciate it because yes, it's 100% gluten-free. So you're servicing those people that have celiac and can't eat the gluten, but then you're also introducing people to how healthy food can taste so good. And then hearing that it started just at the farmer's market and grew and grew and grew, and you were just like, okay, here's the problem. And you are such a problem solver. Here's the solution. You just were like, sure, yes, we're going to deliver and we'll figure it out as we get there. Where I was always the person that was like, oh, we have a problem. We need to figure out how to solve it. I'm going to analyze it for years. It's like, no, you just rip the Band-Aids and make it happen. I truly believe that's how you've become such a successful entrepreneur. It's a wonderful story.
Well, thank you. I mean, I've been so grateful. I mean, as a side note to our friendship, but for you to say I'm such a problem solver and you're not, you're so many other things that I'm not. So we need the yin and the yang in our lives. So I think, thank you for not being a problem solver because you're so many things that I'm not. And, we learn from each other, balance each other out. It's been an amazing journey. And I thank you also for giving me a platform to reminisce on all of it. It's like, it's bringing a little bit of a tear to my eye.
Yeah,
Think back
mine too.
How long it's been.
10 years going on 11. It's 2025 now. Whew.
Yeah, it'll be 11 in May.
We got to have a party.
Yeah. I know. I think we will. We couldn't celebrate last year for some unforeseen circumstances.
Yes.
And I think 11's a good number anyway.
Well, you told us a little bit about your experience at the Natural Gourmet Institute, but I know that you had a very specific training in the fact that you were taught how to cook for people with different types of health ailments. So is there anything you'd want to add just to kind of give a little bit more insight as to what you learned at that school and maybe, how you took those learnings and evolved it into Busy Bee? Were there any principles that stood out for you coming from the Natural Gourmet Institute?
Yeah, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my bachelor's as well, because you can't have one without the other and have Busy Bee. So I went to Montclair State for my bachelor's in dietetic nutrition. And while there, we learned all of our culture's way of dealing with health ailments and dealing with nutrition. A lot of it, there was classes on feeding tubes and how to create a formula for that. It's the less glamorous side of things. And then there were also sports nutrition classes where it was about how to fuel an athlete's body. And then there's chemistry classes where we're burning food just to see how many calories there is. That's what a calorie is, right? It's how much energy it requires our bodies to burn it. So fascinating, all encompassing. For me, I needed to understand both sides of things. So the Natural Gourmet ended up being so much more than I bargained for. It was such a blessing. Anyone who went to that school will tell you it's such a magical time in our lives. We've had some chefs working in our kitchen over the years from that school, including somebody today, Danielle. We love her. So when I left college with an eating disorder, not to blame the program by any means, it was heavily focused on macronutrients and numbers, and there's that. The Natural Gourmet was all about it took food. Basically, I adapted a mentality to no one's fault but my own. I adapted a mentality of this is what I need to do in order to burn off all these calories, right? Numbers, to then going to the Natural Gourmet where I was empowered by the food. This is how this food heals this ailment. So if you have this sort of skin issue, anything from a botanical like a calendula. Calendula is a flower which is helpful to speeding up the rate of like a burn injury. Okay, so if you put a cream with calendula, you will quicken that time to heal that burn, right? Or anything from an herbal to then something like a macrobiotic diet where we're just working with a lot of brown rice or sea vegetables or things that I did not grow up with in a standard American diet, right? We weren't eating seaweed in our house growing up. It
No,
was a lot of
me neither.
nutrient void freezer meals, right? Shout
Yeah.
out to the 90s. I'm a 90s kid. A lot of a lot of like TV
Dunkaroos,
dinners,
fruit
stuff
roll
out of the
up.
gusher, right? Shout out to all the
Gushers.
90s foods. So going to school where they're teaching me that I can eat chicken skin when my mother, bless her, we grew up with fat-free mayo in our house and
Yep.
fat-free milk and fat-free everything. Chicken skin, hell no. But they're now teaching us we are going to use an animal product. We're to use every bit of that animal. Absolutely. That animal gave its life for you. What, honor it. So, and also here are the medicinal properties of that to boot. Or coconut milk, like what? Full fat coconut milk? Like, are you crazy? Like, even in nutrition school, learning so much about saturated fats and how bad they are for you. And really, nutrition is subjective.
Yep.
Nutrition is subjective. So if you are somebody, if you're a heart patient, right? Maybe we're not going to recommend that you're having coconut every single day because right now we're trying to bring down the inflammation. We're trying to clear out the arterial plaque. We're going to actually work with more anti-inflammatory omega-3 rich foods. And it was just mind-blowing being in school for that. In school, we learned so many things, anything from a sea vegetable class to working with fish and chicken. It was fully all-encompassing, just really eye-opening to learn that even though that school was heavily focused on plant-based cooking, the reason being is because of the anti-inflammatory properties of plant-based foods. That being said, that's a whole other topic. We're not talking about plant-based processed foods. We're talking about whole foods with their enzymes present, vitamins present, minerals present, the things that our body needs to fully function. Even doing this mechanical process, it's the process of having the right minerals in our body. So understanding that, it was really amazing to learn our culture, but then that school really taught us about the rest of the world and how they do nutrition and food. And we're definitely one of the countries that has the most processed foods. No, it's no surprise there.
And the most health problems, I would argue.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we do. We have a lot of, that's again, a whole other topic. It's always hard to condense these chats, isn't it? But
yes, it is. We don't have to go there.
So with the Natural Gourmet, magical place where we really learned how to cook for anything from diabetes to cancer. And we're the best. Anyone who graduated at school is the best at what they do. The chefs are sought after for anyone, who is looking for a health supportive
from what I'm hearing, not having the training in my undergrad as a dietetic nutritionist and then looking at everything that I've observed in the kitchen at Busy Bee and seeing cooking classes, it's almost sounds like you're reconnecting with the ingredients in a totally different way, looking at the healing power of them and looking at how much benefit there is to the food. But to see the contrast of both of your trainings and see why they're both important is also really helpful to create the full picture. And, like you said, nutrition is subjective. Nutrition is so personal. And I think I've learned that myself, especially over the last year of completely like uprooting my diet. I mean, you've seen it. We've talked about it. You've introduced me to some really great like keto friendly brands. It's like, what? Like I'm eating keto now? Like I used to say if I had $1 for any time someone ever said to me, hey, I'm eating keto now. Are you proud of me, Jamie? And I was like, cool. I've heard it's really helpful for people who have serious health problems like Parkinson's disease, brain tumors. Now that I've been faced with this diagnosis, it's proving to be beneficial for that as well. And I'm learning so much about that world. There's so many different dietary theories out there. There's so many different fad diets out there. What do you feel is most misunderstood about the world of nutrition?
Well, I think when people hear nutrition, it's all stemming upon obviously their perception of that word, whether they were brought up in a house that celebrated health or maybe shoved health down their throat as from a diet standpoint. I think a lot of it just depends on where someone's head is at around it. I think that's the biggest misunderstanding is that health and nutrition is something that sometimes it comes with such a heaviness for certain people because people have been such victims of diet culture, or more importantly, victims of judgment around body types and shape and size. I feel like the one thing I personally would like to do, I mean, I don't know how I'm going to do it alone.
If you are listening to this episode and thinking, I have a serious healthcare diagnosis, I've been dealt the cancer card, I want to have support around ways I can heal myself using naturopathic healing, and I need somebody who gets it, please take advantage of this opportunity to work with my naturopath, Dr. Lori Bouchard. Dr. Lori was nice enough to offer a free 30-minute strategy call to dive deep into your personal needs, understand more about your unique diagnosis, and see how she could help. So if you have been listening to my episodes, maybe you listened to my interview with Dr. Lori recently, we talk about cancer as a metabolic disease. And when you look at it from that lens, you need to work on your metabolic health, whether that is focusing on your nutrition, focusing on certain things in fitness, maybe fine-tuning your supplements, working on the mental health healing process. This is all encompassing and something you'll learn in the Metabolic Cancer Reset Program. This program is designed by Dr. Lori. It is an incredible program where not only do you get one-on-one time with her, you dive deep into your lab work that you look at in a very specific naturopathic lens on a monthly basis. You also get access to her weekly group calls. So it is a great way to have resources, connect with other people who are going through something similar and who can understand what you're going through. You also get a program with Dr. Lori. So in her Metabolic Cancer Reset Program, she provides multiple videos talking about getting into ketosis, about nutrition, about fasting, different ways to even work with the conventional side of treatment. If this is something you're interested in, or maybe you're thinking, I really want to send this information to a friend, to a coworker, a family member, a significant other, somebody else who may be dealing with a significant healthcare diagnosis of their own and they're looking to get support on their healing journey, Dr. Lori is providing a free 30-minute strategy call. Take a look at the description of this episode. I will link it below. I promise it will change the game in terms of your healing process. So I hope you enjoy, and thank you, Dr. Lori, for that gracious offer.
But for people to stop being so hard on themselves for how they look, I think that like our weights and they are a combination of so many beautiful things at the end of the day. And this topic kills me because obviously I am a product of somebody who used to live in constant shame. There were nights when I had my eating disorder that I would lie to my friends and tell them that I was tired or not feeling well, I was tired and not feeling well because I was depressed around how I looked. And I was not at that point. I was not anything. I was beautiful. I was fine. I just, in my head, I was a disaster. And I just feel like people at any size, they could be stick figure, they could be morbidly obese, whatever it is. People are so hard on themselves. It doesn't matter what we look like. You don't know someone's story. And I think that the biggest thing is the media, whatever we're being shown. And I think that, thank God, this new generation is, I always say I love Gen Z because like they're like, whatever, like we're going to do this, I think that's very different from how our generation was raised, our parent generation was raised. There was a lot of shame around bodies. And I think that
aesthetics,
I think that to this day, it's residual, right? It's gotten better, but there's still residual judgment around, especially a woman is valued on her looks, right? And so it's really tough, especially on women. I did a TV show back in the day, and when I was on that show, a news segment picked up my story, and when I came forward about my eating disorder, I can't tell you how many people came up to me. Men, women, old, young, didn't matter. Everybody came up to me and they're like, me too. People that would shock you.
Show. Yeah.
And that's when I realized I'm not special. We are all struggling out here to try to feel good about ourselves. And so I think that's the number one thing. When you hear nutrition, I really wish people didn't look at it as like, oh God, I have to eat carrots and celery sticks. I'm not out here eating celery sticks all the time. I think nutrition should be a required class in elementary school. I think it's something we should be studying our whole lives because there's so much to know about it and it's ever evolving. Even to this day, there's more research being done constantly on how the human body interacts, which I really hope we get to talk about the microbiome today. We're probably going to when we talk about immune systems. I'm like such a nerd for this stuff. I'm like going off right now.
This is why I wanted to have you here. You're such a wealth of knowledge. I've seen you. For anybody who has been blessed to see Michelle in her element where she's educating and she's teaching you, I think that's really the missing piece as I'm listening to you talk about this and I'm, no pun intended, digesting what you're saying. What's missing? It's when you understand why you're eating what you're eating and how it can help your body and support your body, right? we are nothing without food. We're nothing without air and water. So when you can look at food as your ally instead of as your enemy, or as this thing, the media unfortunately blows up all these different diet trends, and it's every year it's like kale is cool, kale is demonized, celery is cool, celery is demonized. Like there's just gluten, this, that, the other thing, fat, like sugar. We've seen all the trends in every different direction. And it's like, no wonder people are so confused about what to eat.
I think too, again, energy person, even just hearing you just now say those things, my heart was starting to race. I was getting a little anxiety. And then even just having you say at the end, like that is what feels like. I think that's what it feels like in people's heads when like, you're like, okay, new year, I'm going to now start my new diet. It's like what I've done over the years, you zoom out. People ask me like the foundations of busy bee food, like why we do things the way we do, because I've looked at every diet. I've done every diet. I've tried it all. I know what things feel like in my body when they're digesting. Everyone's body is different. So in culinary school, we were taught to use our body heuristically. So your body is your own laboratory. What works for you doesn't necessarily work for me, and vice versa. So you right now are dealing with a major health diagnosis. So you are eating ketogenically to help minimize the growth of something in your body, right? Because research has shown that by feeding sugar and these things, that it can actually metastasize things, because there's certain things in our body that feed on that stuff. If anything from candida to, I want people to understand that it's actually really cool when you find out eating healthy and why we do it. That way, when it comes to your birthday, the holidays, a trip to Vegas, a trip to Europe, that you're eating cheese and bread and cake, and you still have those things in your world. You're just not a victim of them. Just because I have a piece of cake doesn't mean I'm going to go off and eat bad for the rest of the year. You know, it's allowing yourself, remove the shame.
And enjoy
so that
the
your
moment.
body can kind of, I think we need to relax our nervous systems and say, I can have whatever I want today. And then, you know what? I choose for the rest of the time, 80-20 rule. I choose to then nourish my body with fresh berries in the morning, because I know that that fiber is feeding my probiotic bacteria in my gut. And that probiotic bacteria in my gut is now sending signals to my brain that I am full and I am nourished. There's so much more to it. But a lot of gut doctors will tell you we have two brains. We have our brain and we have our gut brain. And what happens is when we consume food, say we're sitting down to a plate full of fries, and then you have a plate full of vegetables, it is way easier to fill up on 1,000 calories worth of French fries than it is on 1,000 calories worth of vegetables. Why? Some may argue they don't taste as right, but also
well, they
because
haven't had them from Busy Bee.
I'm not going to argue fries are fabulous. I had them yesterday, but I then, came home and had my normal lean protein vegetable dinner because I had my fries. My point is the reason why we can't eat 1,000 calories in one sitting worth of vegetables is because the brain in our stomach is they're interacting with the whole food. This is why it's so important to eat whole foods. Your broccoli, your carrots, your whatever, they're jam-packed full of macronutrients, but most importantly, micronutrients. So your vitamins and your minerals. And people aren't talking about this enough, but it's like owning a Rolls Royce. Like you're not going to go put regular gas and take it to some crappy mechanic. You're going to nurture that car and put the best of the best in it so that it continues to drive like a Rolls Royce. Conceptually, people don't realize that we're premium vehicles. You have one body. You have it. This is all you have. Arguably, inarguably, this is without this, who cares about your car? Who cares about anything else? Like, you don't have a healthy body. You don't have quality of life. You don't have a life. So you should be taking care of this at all times. That being said, it doesn't have to feel daunting. It's really about introducing yourself to the understanding of what makes your Rolls Royce run, right? So when you get that nice premium vehicle or whatever it is that you care about, whatever you have in it that means the most to you, even having children. You know, some people have kids, they want their kids to have the best. So when they're pregnant, they eat the best, they take their vitamins. Every day you should be doing that. I take prenatal vitamins. We need macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, and fat in great quality. We need micronutrients, minerals, vitamins, enzymes. And when you have all of that, your body operates the way that your car does when it has oil and gas and whatever fluids you need. That is the biggest, I think, misunderstanding, is that people hear nutrition, they hear health, and they get overwhelmed and they shut down. And we all have personal habits for why we eat. So like someone being overwhelmed could make them go binge, right? They could go binge eat an entire bag of chips. And a lot of it is shame derived. It's so hard to start. And sometimes it's just habitual. I was brought up eating this way. This is how I've always eaten. And now you're telling me I have diabetes and I have to change everything. How overwhelming is that, right? So I think that if everyone found the right person, the right resources to talk to, which is obviously not the easiest thing to do, but it is attainable. You just have to believe it's true for yourself. Find the right resources and start there. Start by switching your bread out from white to whole wheat. Start by switching your breakfast out from cereal to fresh berries and yogurt, or fresh berries and eggs. Start with one meal. Start with one meal.
Yes.
Whatever's not going to overwhelm your body. Actually, my younger sister, Morgan, she is so inspiring. She did a year's worth of meal for her and her family. She knows that is what works the best for her. She sat down before the new year and mapped out the menu for her house for the entire year. And I know this girl, my sister's sick of her gun. She's done this before. But you know why she does it? Because if she doesn't, she will be overwhelmed, because she is a mother of 2. She runs a preschool at an army base, and she's a wife, and she runs a household, and she's a fabulous host, and she's a lot of things to a lot of people. And sometimes we don't put ourselves first when we're taking care of others, especially children. She's an amazing mom, so always doing above and beyond. And so for her, she knows what works for herself. She maps out what she needs to do. And it might be extreme. So maybe for some people, it's just the first 3 months. But you know what? Now she knows that she doesn't have to think about it.
Right.
Her and her husband, they've agreed upon this. They work together. And now it's one less thing on the to-do list. So I guess the case in point is, like, if you feel overwhelmed, just make one small change. Yeah. Make one small change,
I love
figure
that.
out, this book, Atomic Habits, he says that remove the hurdles and then it's so much easier. So, for example, the more hurdles you have, the less likely you are going to make a change in your habit. For example, I would like to start working out. What do I need to start working out in my mind? A gym membership. But then financially, I don't know that would work for me. Now we've got 2 hurdles. I don't have a gym membership. I don't have money, right? So maybe tomorrow. So then next day, okay, I want to work out. I don't have a gym membership, can't afford it. So maybe I'll go for a run, but my knee has been bothering me. So now my knee's bothering me. I don't have a gym membership. I don't have money. So day 3 comes. I'm just going to go for a walk, right? I don't have walking shoes. I don't have running shoes. I don't have an outfit. Like, do whatever you need to do. Figure out the shoes, the outfit. Maybe you don't need any of that. If it's just a walk, put the shoes out. It's right there when you wake up. It's a reminder, right? Oh yes, I'm walking this morning. Make sure you have the coffee on the timer or whatever you need. My ritual for walking has been I really like to have a cozy beverage. I have no coffee shops where I live. So I bought a sleeve of paper cups so that I can make my coffee and I can just throw the cup out. Because I used to say, and then I have to walk around with my reusable cup. And I'm an environmentalist. I really am. I do it everywhere else I can. But it makes my walk so much more enjoyable to have this beverage as if I went to a coffee shop. And anyway, that's my little hack. I think that there are little hacks you need to do to make things easier. Remove the hurdle.
Yep, because I'm viewing you as somebody who has so much knowledge to share. You shared a lot of really interesting points. So just to back up a little bit, when you were talking about being, I don't want to say in control, because sometimes control can have a negative connotation, but being present with your food choices and being able to have the piece of cake or have the French fries, but then get back to basics and nourish your body because you know it's doing you good. I've always said to people, sometimes putting the shame around it, like you said too, or the judgment, that is going to stress your system more than the aftermath of just having a piece of cake. The stress that does to your entire body and your nerves going to wreak more havoc.
The response that your body has when you feel that level of stress, that's actually hormones going off in your body. It's fight or flight, it's adrenaline, and it's cortisol, and it's these stress hormones that actually make you hold gain weight anyway. So do what makes you feel good. If I'm going to have a piece of cake, I know that eating an entire piece of cake makes me feel very tired afterwards. I think that happens to a lot of people. We're all the same. Whether you're sensitive enough to it or not, eating a piece of cake is pure sugar and fat. And a lot of times, it's processed, unless you're getting it from Busy Babe, but it's processed. Right. And it will create a lot of fatigue in your body because not only does it require a lot of your body to break it down, but it
The
is not a
blood
whole
sugar crash.
food. And when you're eating a food that is not in its whole complete form, it still needs things to break it down. Your body still is trying to digest it. So it actually will start to cannibalize your body. It will literally start
Yeah,
to
it's
break
pulling your
down muscle
resources.
tissue. It pulls from your body in order to break it down every time you eat something like refined sugar. Every time. If you're not eating it after a nice hearty whole food dinner, if all you do ever is eat processed foods and sugar, this is why disease starts. Is because I want to talk about the microbiome too, because
Let's do
this is
it.
a perfect segue. Because what ends up happening, so we have trillions of bacteria in our gut. There's countless. People know the popular ones like lactobacillus and things like that you see listed in your yogurt. I mean, there are countless amounts of bacteria that are being studied all the time. And they have found recently that the types of bacteria that we have lend to different ailments in the body. So somebody who has trouble losing weight, they're missing probiotics that somebody at a healthy weight might have in abundance. Okay.
Whoa.
So
Okay.
it's amazing. So
Yeah.
not only that, but also so anyone, if you know what IBS or C. diff, what ends up happening oftentimes with IBS is people are not eating foods with fiber in it. So fiber is your probiotic bacteria's favorite food. They love when you stick broccoli in there or oats, berries. Oh, that is like a feast for them, and they thrive. And your body, in order to be healthy and keep your immune system up, needs a plethora of probiotic bacteria in your gut at all times. Think of them as like the good soldiers. And then you've got these bad bacteria that sneak in sometimes too, right? That can cause like food poisoning or whatever. But the bad bacteria and the good bacteria are always kind of at odds, fighting back and forth. But the more probiotic you have, the easier it is for them to fight off the bad guys. When you're not eating any fiber, the standard American diet gets about, I would say, 8 to 15 grams of fiber a day.
I feel like that's
The
generous.
recommended amount. It is generous. The recommended amount is 25 to 50 grams of fiber a day for your gut to thrive and for us to keep our immune systems up and healthy. And when your probiotics are being starved, just like a human being, if they were being starved or an animal being starved, they're going to start to look for anything for a food source.
Yep.
And guess where they go to first? The lining of your colon. They are going to start to eat the mucosal lining of your colon. And once that mucosal lining is gone, it can't hold on to your food and creates a lot of excess flow known as diarrhea, right? It's exiting way too fast. Now you're getting all these issues because not only is the food exiting way too fast, your body's not absorbing the nutrients. So first stop for your food is your small intestine. And then you have these little finger-like, hair-like projections called villi. And this is where all of your vitamins and minerals get absorbed. So this is stop number one. So you eat an apple, you're digesting it, and then your vitamins and minerals are like, ooh, I want to go to this fun little place with all these little, wiggly guys. And like, then they get your like vitamin C, your vitamin D, they all absorb into these villi and then goes to your blood and makes you awake and alert and feel good. I wish I wish you could be in my head and see what it actually looks like. This is the best I got right now. But so when you aren't eating that fiber and your probiotics are chewing away at your mucosal lining where all the storage is of like whatever you may have had, now you're getting all that diarrhea. Your body's literally not absorbing things. Now you're going to get sick. You're going to get anything from IBS to serious diagnoses. And by the way, fiber is not just a gut-friendly thing. Anything that's good for your gut is also going to help clear out arterial plaque in your heart. So people who suffer from heart disease, the number one thing they should be doing is eating fiber because it's just like fiber acts like a sponge. Like I always make an analogy of like if you have a bacon greasy pan, you try to clean it with like cold water, nothing happens.
Yeah.
If you take hot soapy water and a sponge and you scrub it away, it washes away. Fiber is that hot soapy sponge for your heart. So it actually will have little micelles that grab onto arterial plaque and will clear out your arteries. So,
amazing.
I mean, there's so much
You
information.
see what I'm saying? Such a good teacher. I mean, all these pictures that you're painting for people.
I hope
it's so helpful. Yes, it's so helpful.
easy to
Between treating your
understand because I do
body
feel like it's a lot.
a luxury vehicle. And I also too like picture the good and the bad bacteria in my gut, like fighting this little army. They're going to bat every day, depending on what you
Yeah.
feed it. No,
I just wanted to mention antibiotics too,
yeah,
because antibiotics right now, they're heavily prescribed. I mean, I don't know about you. You go to the doctor half the time. I don't know. Take the right. I myself
everything.
I'm on an antibiotic right now. I'm very reluctant normally, but I have a sinus infection and I'm traveling and I needed it. It wasn't going away. So very grateful for Western medicine when we need it. The overprescribing of these is a problem, but most importantly, it's the lack of education around what to do post antibiotic. So antibiotics are antibacterial. They clear out bacteria. Unfortunately, they don't have the ability to discern between the good and the bad bacteria. So when you take an antibiotic, it actually clears out all of the bacteria and you have to rebuild your gut health.
Yep.
So while I'm taking the antibiotic, rest assured, I'm still eating all my fiber. And as soon as I'm done, I'm going to take a probiotic capsule. People think that like yogurt is enough. I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. It has some in it, but you're not going to get anywhere that you need in probiotic unless if you're trying to rebuild your gut lining, then from a probiotic supplement. And even then, oftentimes, because I told you there's trillions of strains and each one operates differently, if one doesn't work for you to correct your issues of whatever it is, you need to try a different strain of bacteria because different strains operate in different ways. So somebody who is having trouble losing weight could be missing an essential type of bacteria from their diet, and by taking lactobacillus, that's not going to help you, right? It's a totally different thing. By the way, there is a Netflix documentary on right now about the gut microbiome.
Ooh,
you should watch it.
What is it called?
I don't remember the name.
We'll have to find it. We'll find
it's on
it
Netflix,
and I'll link it.
Just look up microbiome. Yeah, we'll link it. Oh my God, everyone should watch that. They have found that by giving somebody bacteria from somebody else's gut, that they can heal things like IBS and C. diff and Crohn's and all these things. I mean, it's a little controversial how it's being done. I will let you watch the end of the documentary. It's really interesting. But that is the importance of eating fiber. If there is a main takeaway, Busy Bee is built on these principles. There is not a dish in our plate that doesn't have something that's great for your heart and your gut.
And I think
we're eating those bacteria all the time.
Yeah, I was just about to say that is something that most diets across the board, and then my mind goes to, oh, like the carnivore diet, so popular right now. That's not one of them. But I think any other diet across the board agrees that we need fiber, we need plants, we need vegetables in our diet, we need a wide variety, to your point, to get different, minerals and nutrients that our body needs. And then, you're filling it with all these different strains of probiotics. And that's so fascinating to me. I actually can't wait to watch that show because yes, knew about all the different types of probiotic strains, but I didn't realize that could be the missing link for why certain people have certain ailments. So that fascinates me because now I'm like, I'm going to have to research that for everything I'm going through. Useful.
The biggest thing too that people will say is the fiber hurts my stomach. They have also found that if you start by microdosing these foods, the bacteria will slowly build up and it won't hurt, right? So there was a girl in the documentary who was having issues. She couldn't digest potato chips without being in excruciating pain. So they have her eating 3 a day to build up that level of digestion. And it's directly linked to immune support. Now, I know that was something that we were talking about is like the wintertime, people are getting sick.
Everybody is sick.
I mean, around the holidays, because everyone's eating sick, so much sugar.
Right. And they're stressed, like leading up to the holidays. People aren't sleeping. I mean, they're probably drinking maybe more alcohol, like all the things that we enjoy at a moment in time. But then when it all builds up, everybody's sick right now. So do you have any hot tips?
Enjoy it. Sorry, good.
No, hot tips to build your immune system right now. In addition to what you've shared so far, it's like making sure you're getting the probiotic, prebiotic rich foods. I've actually been loading up on bone broth from Busy Bee. Like it is nobody's business because it's warm, getting away from all the raw foods, eating something warm and nourishing. That's also really great for healing your gut lining. I've also oddly been eating raw garlic, but that's a whole nother thing. Is there tips that are great for strengthening your immune system when you're in the winter months?
A lot of it is understanding too what you have going on. For me, I have a sinus infection that was exacerbated by animal allergies. And then I've got my stepdad who had the flu, my niece who had some terrible cough. So everyone's sickness is different. It's like kind of understanding exactly where you're coming from, because treating like you can't treat the flu with an antibiotic, for example. And not everyone needs that. I'm not going to treat somebody who's got gut issues the same way I would treat somebody who has a heart issue. It's different. Some things are overlapping, obviously, but as far as overall immune support, absolutely everything we just talked about with keeping your gut, your probiotics, thriving, because the more probiotics in your gut, the more it's fighting off things that are bacterial or fighting off things that are just illness in general. And also when the probiotics are in lack of fiber and they're chewing away at your lining, it also creates an insane amount of inflammation in the body. So the next thing I would recommend is anti-inflammatory or alkalizing foods, which aren't necessarily the same. So anti-inflammatory, everyone just needs to know about omega-3s. It's been a hot buzz, item in nutrition history, but I feel like nutrition topics are laying dormant right now. I'm really ready for us people to start having conversations around it again. But omega-3s are really important because if you can imagine our body almost like a scale, we need omega-3, 6, and 9 to create this balance of the scale, like a seesaw. When you eat a food, all of your foods that have fat in them contain all of these items. So it's about the ratio. So if you were to eat a sunflower seed, it has an omega-3, 6, and 9 content, but it happens to have more, hypothetically, 6 and 9. But if you were to eat a walnut has omega-3, 6, and 9 in it, but it happens to have way more omega-3. So it's considered an omega-3. When we are eating processed foods, holiday, whatever, if we're eating a standard American diet and not being intentional around omega-3, it's really quite difficult to get enough omega-3 in our diet.
Yeah. I mean, salmon, chia seeds, I'll be your audience.
Yes, salmon, chia seeds, exactly. Ground flaxseed. Flaxseed has to be ground to be digested. Please note that. So don't eat whole flaxseed, but sprinkling ground flaxseed in anything can really change your day. Extra virgin olive oil, rich in omega-3s. Avocados are fabulous because not only are they rich in omega-3s, they have like 10 grams of fiber in them. Your gut bacteria will love it. If you just look up omega-3 rich foods and start incorporating those into your diet, you can always do a supplement as well. I recommend Nordic Naturals, a great omega-3 D3 blend, but keeping inflammation down, because the combination of having poor gut health and inflammation creates a lot of disease. Most doctors will tell you, especially gut doctors, that really the link to most disease is our gut. So healing your gut would be of the utmost importance when you're trying to stay healthy. Again, comes back to fruits, vegetables, omega-3 rich fats, lean proteins, things that are easy to digest, and not going crazy on sugar. If you're going to sugar, make sure you've had other fiber that day so that your body can metabolize it without wreaking havoc. And,
great advice.
I mean, I love a hot toddy. I do. No lie there. But even a virgin hot toddy is great, which is just lemon, some cloves, hot water, a little bit of honey. I had a hot lemon water with honey yesterday when I was out, and it was so perfect. And if you're having any sort of sinus, it's like very soothing. And there's reasons why these things are soothing. So that's my immune tip.
Love that.
Elderberry is a popular one too. We love it. We love elderberry too.
Yes. So many good nuggets of wisdom in here. So when it comes to cooking in the kitchen, I mean, I know that's a big reason why you created Busy Bee. You saw a need, especially in this busy community where people don't have time to cook. But if somebody has, let's say, a New Year's intention of cooking more instead of eating out, what are some simple ways you would recommend they get a little more in touch with their food? Maybe what are some easy meals? Like where would you start if somebody's like, I'm not used to cooking. I get bored easily. I don't want to let the food go to waste. Because I know you're also so resourceful with ingredients. You let nothing in that kitchen go to waste, and it's amazing to see. That's probably a very loaded question. But for somebody who's not sure where to start, like some basics for getting comfortable in the kitchen.
It's not loaded. I get this question all the time. And actually it's one of my favorite questions to answer because I do feel like it's very empowering, and it gives you a roadmap at least of where to start. If you can't do anything else, the main takeaway from this conversation has been fiber. So what's an easier way of you getting fiber in? Not everyone loves vegetables, but guess what? They have real fiber. So let's talk about getting veggies in your day and how it could be easier. I mean, we're talking basics, right?
Yep.
If you're on a really tight budget, you're not going to get pre-cut veggies. But if ease supersedes budget, then get pre-cut veggies. At the store now, everyone's got pre-cut veg. I would start there by getting a bag of pre-cut vegetables, some extra virgin olive oil. If you're somebody who's like, I hate dishes, great. Open up the bag, pour a little bit of olive oil inside that bag, sprinkle some Himalayan pink salt or sea salt, some good quality salt. If you're going to shake it up in the bag, then you're going to get a tray. You're going to preheat your oven while this is all happening. Your oven's going to be on 375 degrees. Okay. If you've got a regular oven, if you've got a convection oven with a fan and it's like good and it heats it up real fast, you can put it on 350. Then you're going to do all the bag shaking. And then if you have parchment paper, highly recommend. I don't love people cooking on foil. If it's all you got right now, do it. But then next time you're at the store, go grab some parchment. Foil is made from aluminum. Aluminum has been shown to have linked to Alzheimer's, brain degradation, and it's very easy to break down and get into your food. So if you have aluminum pans, get rid of them. And aluminum foil, in this case, it'll be fine if that's all you got. Try to get some parchment next time you go. Or just put it on your sheet tray if it's like a stainless steel sheet tray. And there's so much to talk about. But this is why people are overwhelmed, you see? There's so much to know. But at the bare basic, just start with some chopped veggies in the bag, shake it up, olive oil, salt, roast it for 10 minutes in the oven or until they turn golden brown. Everyone's oven is different. 10 minutes for you could be 30 minutes for somebody else, but just until they're lightly golden brown on top, bite into it and enjoy. Like, it's so good. And then just keep them in the fridge for the week and get up in the morning and throw in some eggs in a pan and throw in some of those veggies. Now you've got this healthy breakfast. Have it with some avocado, a little bit of salsa. Boom. You have a whole meal that's full of fiber, full of protein. Watch your body change, because what happens is when you have the right bacteria in, it changes your mood. Have you ever noticed like certain foods make you feel angry inside? You can get moody and irritable. Certain types of foods create those reactions. So by starting your day off with lean protein and veggies, not only will your blood sugar be totally balanced, but you won't be hungry as quickly as you would be if you started your day off with cereal or a donut or a muffin.
Such a good point. There are people who can do sweet in the morning. I'm really not one of them. I need savory. Even if I do a healthy protein pancake and have like the nut butter on it and have the fat, have the protein, have the complex carbs present, I still find myself craving more sweet and carbs throughout the day. And maybe it is a slight blood sugar imbalance.
It's also the bacteria that's getting stimulated. You're sending sugar in. It's not only a hormone response. Your bacteria is like, oh, I want more. They bother you all day long. They're like, ooh, that was good. Send me more. Versus if you were to put in like fiber and protein first and then have a bit of sugar. This is why your parents always told you to have dessert after dinner. I mean, you're going to spoil your dinner, but also truthfully really creates that difference in your body. You can have sugar still. Your body is resilient. Our bodies are capable of so much, but it will thrive if you feed it a certain way. And if you're somebody who has diabetes or is pre-diabetic or is in danger of gestational diabetes, absolutely never eat sugar first.
Hi, friends. If you are new to Busy Bee Organics and you are located in New Jersey, you are in for a treat. Busy Bee Organics, yes, I work for the company. I love it. I am just so tied to the mission of serving clean, organic, qualitative food ingredients to the community, fueling your system with food that you need, ingredients that your body readily recognizes as fuel for all of your cells to be as healthy as possible. The business is 100% gluten-free. We are a meal delivery service. We deliver locally and to out-of-town guests in the New Jersey area every Monday. So you get your choice of breakfast, lunches, desserts, snacks, smoothies, soups, you name it, we have it. Everything comes freshly prepared and ready with reheat instructions or instructions to keep it in the fridge depending on what you're ordering. You can order as much or as little as possible. So you can literally order food for your entire family. We have family-sized portions. We have individual-sized portions. You can order food for the entire week just for a few days. There is no minimum. Everything can be ordered a la carte. We also have the Detox program, as you'll hear Michelle and I talk about in this episode. So we do this seasonally, pretty much regularly. Obviously, with everything that's been happening with me over the last year, we've had to make some changes in the schedule. But if you are living in the New Jersey area and you are looking for food to kickstart your new year, you don't want to have the stress of cooking in the kitchen, you're looking for really clean, qualitative ingredients, this is the place for you. So you can get 10% off your first order by using code NEWBEE, that's NEWBEE, NEWBEE, at checkout. So like I said, delivery happens every Monday, Our new menu rolls out every Friday morning, so you can take a look at the menu and see what we've got to offer. www.busybeeorganics, that's BUSY, B, E as an elephant, E as an elephant, organics with an S.com. I will link it in the show notes. New Bee gives you 10% off your first order. I promise, if you're looking for a great way to serve your body with healthy food this new year, this is for you. We have animal protein options, plant protein options, breakfast frittatas, healthy snacks, healthy desserts, like you name it. It is such an incredible business. I am so proud to be part of this company, and I've partnered with Michelle for years now on our special detox program. So stay tuned for more details on that, and I hope you check it out. Enjoy.
You need the protein and the fiber to literally slow down the absorption of the sugar. If you put sugar into an empty body first thing in the morning, you have these spikes and dips where our insulin levels go crazy and you gain weight, and you also will
consequently crave
create
more.
a crash. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
You'll crave more. So, gestational diabetes is something people come to us all the time for. And I'm always like, very curable, like within a week. And, a lot of times you can change your gut health within 24 hours. You can change by not eating sugar, by just starting to eat fiber throughout one day. It changes. You'll notice a mood change. You'll notice satiety. You'll be fuller, easier. Like, you will notice a huge change in your body
more
overall.
energy,
in one day.
sleep better. I mean, I feel like as we're sitting here talking about all these things, I'm like, oh, these are all the benefits of the detox, which segues into that. But I think that's so true. I mean, our gut and our brain are constantly in a communication all day long. And I think if you're not used to eating more fiber or, a balanced meal and abiding by the tools and suggestions that Michelle's talking about here, when you do start to change that, you're going to notice an immediate clearing of the brain fog, clearing of the cobwebs, as I call it. I notice when I kind of go off, I went home for the holidays and we all indulge a little bit. So when you get back to basics or to eating a little bit cleaner and you change your habits a little bit over time, you're going to notice such a difference in your mental clarity, in your sleep, in your mood, as you said, like all of these things, because our body works as a whole system and everything's constantly talking to each other. I think that's such a good point about mood, because it's like the height, at least in the Northeast, where we're not getting enough sunlight and vitamin D, the height of seasonal depression time. So all the more reason to take care of yourself and to fuel your body with the right things that it needs to feel optimal. And, maybe that looks a little bit different for everybody. I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about the detox and why you created that program. And we were so happy to be back to do one at the end of this month. It's such a wonderful program and a great way for people who are looking to incorporate healthier habits and nutrient dense food into their diet and not have to stress and think about getting into the kitchen, but just have it all there for you. Where was your mind at when you created this program? I know it's evolved into something since I've joined over the last, I can't even believe I'm saying this, like 8 years. Is that true? There's been an evolution of it, but I would love to hear what stemmed you to create that from the beginning.
Honestly, it started with a conversation with a friend. She made a recommendation that we create some sort of food program. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Because I think I was going off about juice cleanses and how dumb I feel like. To clarify, I don't feel like all juice cleansing is pointless. I think there's benefits if you do it correctly and if it's intentional. That being said, oftentimes it's not done correctly, and that's why I feel the way I do. I think it's unrealistic to say, here, do a juice cleanse for 5 days and then just go back out into the world. There's nothing been learned. You just drink juice for 5 days. Maybe you learned that you're hungry all the time. It's missing the fiber, right? It's all stripped away in the juicing process. You are left with concentrated sugar. It's depending on the juice. If you're drinking celery juice, maybe not. If you're drinking cabbage juice, no. But I think people are drinking a lot of carrot and, apple, beet, like sweet. It is a great way to get some nutrients in right away, but there are better. Your body absorbs them better when they're packaged fully, like a whole food, like we've been talking about. Your body will fully digest when they have the enzymes present, and the enzymes get stripped away in that juicing process. So my thought around it was, why don't we do a food-based cleanse and actually educate while we're doing it so that people feel like they can go out into the world and feel empowered after it. Like, yes, I'm a businesswoman, but I'm more here to help people feel good.
Yeah,
Like, that's the mission of Busy Bee.
absolutely.
So,
Yes.
so I could just give people detoxes and I give them education and just have them keep coming back for more. But I don't want to do that. I want people to feel like they've gotten lifelong lessons with it. So what happens with the detox, and obviously it's evolved so much over the years. There was a time where we were incorporating our friends over at Home Life and Profit and Duty Free Girl, and it was so fun. But I think what we have found the secret for success is really to keep it simple. Let us cook for you.
Yep.
Let us talk to you about the principles behind the detox and how we designed it, and give you coaching with Jamie to answer any of the questions that you have around it. And, we used to do a cooking class with it as well. And then post-pandemic changed needs around that. So if people wanted that again, I would be thrilled to do it. We've created a program where you get breakfast, lunch, and dinner and 2 snacks. Food every few hours where you are not to feel hungry. Have people felt hungry on this in the past? Sure. We coach them through that and get them to eat.
Yes.
If you're feeling hungry, you reach out to us so you don't, because it's not normal to feel hungry on the detox. You're either exercising a lot, breastfeeding. There are outlying situations. So we have created 2 sizes as well. We have a hungry and a hangry. The hungry size is for somebody who is minimally active and sticks to around 1,500 calories. It's a little bit less than that. It is a bit of a calorie deficit, but it is satiating. In the morning, you're getting a protein, fiber-rich breakfast. A couple hours later, you're getting a smoothie that is full of food for your probiotic gut bacteria. So it's got kale and apples and cucumber, all that stuff. It's delicious, and it's a smoothie that you can drink over the course of time, or, chug it, whatever you want to do. And then a couple hours later, you'll have your lunch. A couple hours after that, you'll have another snack. And a couple hours after that, you'll have your dinner. And all throughout it, you're drinking water. We prompt you to drink your water. There's a schedule. We encourage herbal teas, all of this. And the idea is, with all this fiber, you are detoxing in a way where you are actually starting to grab onto some of that arterial plaque. You're starting to grab onto that stuff that might be stuck in your colon. You're feeding your gut bacteria. And then drinking water. And there's other things that also help to move everything along.
Yep.
So people oftentimes will experience weight loss, probably in the form of clearing up a lot of their gut. They experience better sleep because they're not busy digesting food all night long. They're clearing it throughout the day. They experience clearer skin because we are feeding their gut bacteria that feeds into that glowy, healthy skin. We don't encourage drinking alcohol on this cleanse either, so that also helps with skin clarity. And there's so many other benefits that come with the detox, including reconnecting to your food and a portion size. So by having us prepare the food and the portion, you're looking at it and you're eating it. And most people are shocked at how full they get from the food because the portions aren't huge. But it's so full of fiber that you don't need as much. Exactly.
Yeah. I've seen people who do, as you said, do the hungry, who maybe used to eating a certain amount of food per day, and they're like, I can't even finish this. I think everybody is a little bit unique in their dietary needs, but we always work with you to figure out what makes sense. Like you said, we do have nursing moms come on. We have, male and female. Sometimes we have couples do it together, people who are more active. So athletes, yes. Dancers, you name it. I've been honored to coach many people through this program. And sometimes it's not even the food piece that we end up talking about because it's there for you and we're educating you along the way around why you're eating what you're eating. Oftentimes it's the lifestyle component that goes along with it. So, we're encouraging people to drink water and stay hydrated. We're also encouraging, being gentle with yourself. So if you are used to moving a certain amount, then yes, we want you to continue physical activity. We recommend gentle, not super stimulating, not cortisol spiking, a little bit more like rest and digest. But we end up talking about stress, about movement. We talk about, different lifestyle factors. What does your schedule look like? Are you sleeping enough? A lot of different things that can play into what's happening in your body and your body's ability to quite literally digest food or not. So those coaching sessions are private, they're one-on-one, and they're very personal to your unique goals and needs. So sometimes the conversation looks a little bit different depending on who I'm talking to. But I've seen so many people come out of the program, like you said, necessarily your intention is not to have a constant repeat customer because you do such a beautiful job at educating people around why you're creating the program the way you're doing it. But we've seen time and time again, people come back because they feel so good and feel so supported from every angle. And, not only that, but sometimes the connections that people make with each other. We have the WhatsApp group, so people are constantly asking us questions and, there's conversation. It really does create this camaraderie and community who are supporting each other and cheering each other on, which I think accountability can go so far when you're looking to make change to your health and your lifestyle.
I think also, just to speak on your behalf and your coaching, just for Busy Bee alone, you have been such a blessing to have because you really bring in that nurturing support that as a chef, I don't always get to be for people. When I started the Detox program, I was coaching and cooking the food at the same time. And I just got to see a point where I was so overwhelmed to be the support that I wanted it to be. Divine intervention came and here you are. And obviously it just elevated the experience for people tenfold because you're such a loving presence and it's impossible not to feel it, not only through the screen, but, over the phone, in person. I think that's what people need when they're embarking on lifestyle change. It's the beginning of a journey for the rest of their lives where they really want to reset. And I think it's important to address psychological components as well. We're not just addressing the food. Our decisions around food choices are derived from a decision we're making subconsciously within us. If someone needs to address something, disordered eating or thoughts or anything around it, to have that support is incredible. It's not something you're going to get from, a bigger company that's just shipping you food and saying good luck. So we try to make it personal. We try to just go that extra step that you actually feel like it's making a lasting impression. And we are so happy to be back to do it. Jamie and I used to do these at least every quarter. And Jamie has been taking her much needed break from all of it, new year. And we are just really excited to be with you guys again.
Feels so good to be back.
Yeah, it's live on the site now. Busy Bee Organic.
Yes, starts on January 27th. So it's a 5-day program, 5 days, 5 days of breakfast, lunch, dinner, 2 snacks per day, as Michelle said. We don't open up the floodgates to a huge group because we like to keep it personal and we like to keep it supportive. So space is limited, but I'd encourage anyone who's interested or who has questions to reach out to us. You can send us an email, info@busybeeorganics.com. So I'll link that in the show notes. I'll also put a link to the Detox. It's a really incredible program. Sometimes people come to it with a friend or two and they say, okay, let's do it together. Or maybe you're doing it with a roommate or your sister or a significant other. It is nice to have somebody going through the program with you so you feel like you can celebrate those wins. Of course, you can celebrate them with us. We want to hear how you're feeling and doing. But it's a really great to start off the new year. And as you heard Michelle say, she shared so much information around the importance of food and how we can look at food differently and I think create a better relationship with it. So I just want to thank you because I know we could talk for hours. There's so much more information in that beautiful brain of yours, but maybe we do a part 2. I think a lot of people will learn so much from this conversation. One last question I have for you, because you're on the Forward Think Tank. I know you are a forward thinker. You're constantly reinventing things at Busy Bee and you're looking to improve and to grow. What is something that keeps you moving forward in your life?
What is one thing that keeps me moving forward in my life?
Or more.
Just one?
Top 3.
Man, I have to say, it's the feedback from the customers and the employees. I feel like everyone's really happy to be a part of the world of Busy Bee. It's very motivating. I've always felt expanded by it. I've always followed what felt blissful. As a business owner, we all have our moments where we're ready to throw in the towel. And yours is a long relationship. And I feel like there has been many times that it's felt overwhelming. The start of a new year, it's hard not to reflect and think back on all the good and, what else is possible. And to be honest, the team continues to get better and better every year. We've had such blessings of individuals in our kitchen that have propelled it to the level it's at today, whether it's with Chef Rebecca or you, Jamie, even the baristas that we've had over the years, and now the team that we have now. there's no exception. We're leveling up even more. Being able to bring on Chef Danielle has been incredible. She went to the Natural Gourmet Institute and had a similar concept in Montclair. We've since acquired her company and we're now working together. And we are hoping to get back into retreat potentially this year.
Ooh.
And we've also expanded into the personal chef realm. So the feedback the customers have given us over the years has been they want to be able to customize some of the meals more. So we have 3 levels of service we're offering. We've got our basic, which is like going online and ordering. And then level 2 is going to be customizable. You know, for example, we've got someone who's a nightshade free customer or somebody who maybe doesn't want rice, they want quinoa. That level of customer is level 2. But then level 3 would be the personal chef service where somebody just really wants the meals completely catered to them. Maybe they want filet mignon, Chilean sea bass, you know, things like that. We're able to cater to all levels of service now. And that's because of the amazing team that we brought on and the expansion. And also I, you know, hired a wonderful business coach this year who's been helping to see that greater vision and always having fun all along the way, counting our blessings. I'm so grateful for the opportunities and relationships I've built over the years by being a business owner in Jersey City. You know, our friendship, it speaks volumes. I've got friends outside of work that I've met from being a business owner in the wellness space. God, the amount of gratitude I have is probably annoying to some people because what I talk about probably the most is grateful for the community, grateful for the employees, grateful for the farmers who grow the food, grateful for the list goes on, right? The people in town who've helped us get to the place we're at now, the council people, even the fellow business owners in Jersey City Heights and Jersey City. It's been a wonderful ride.
You opened my eyes to the community of other business owners, which now I'm so grateful to call them my friends too. And I think there is something really special here. I mean, the fact that you have chosen to keep your business here in Jersey City for the last almost 11 years shows the support of the community and customers that walk in the door and appreciate that you exist. And you're always evolving the business. You're hearing what people say, you're paying attention to what people are asking for, and you're looking to serve. And that is who you are. You're a nurturing, loving person. And I think we are all learning from you every day. So I want to double tap on the team and shout them out too, because it's been over a year now of me not physically being in the store. And I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to step back and take care of myself. And I have to thank you for that. But the people who have come into the kitchen, into the front of house, who have stepped up, who have been there, and new faces who have come, it was crazy to go to the holiday party last month and be like, oh my God, I haven't even met some of these people. But it was such a special group. And I think there's a really great team in place and there's so much talent and so much support and such a good vibe. You've always hired well. And I think the team that's in place right now is really special. And I'm excited to see what bringing on Chef Danielle does to elevate everything. Shout out to T and Hannah and Edgar, all the people who are just holding down the fort. I appreciate all their support.
TT going on 9 years working with us.
TT. We love TT.
Shout out to T, everyone's favorite. Everyone loves T.
I think there are going to be people who watch this episode that know us and know the business. And then there are going to be people who have heard me talk about you and aren't as familiar with Busy Bee and are looking for some very tangible takeaways in terms of nutrition. And I think you provided that and more. So thank you for sitting with me. And I'm so excited for this episode to air because people are going to learn.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So much.
I'm so proud of you too for doing this. I remember when you were like sitting on the idea, and actually we talked about atomic habits around the podcast.
Yes.
We talked about it because I remember you feeling overwhelmed. But I was like, oh, just grab a microphone and then let the rest happen. And it's like you just buying the microphone. Next thing I know, you had the whole intro, right? I was like, okay.
Yes,
like,
but I think
you turn that around. You got that mic. Get rid of the hurdle.
Thank you.
Amazing.
I mean, if this year has taught me
so fun.
anything, and if you have taught me anything, this has been one of my biggest lessons this year. You have to get out of your own way and just start making decisions and just start taking the action. Rip the Band-Aids. I've ripped so many days this year. I do remember that conversation, and I thank you for encouraging me because look, here we are.
That's such a lesson for everyone. Things always recalibrate. You put your energy out there and you just start doing it, and it's like everything falls into place.